Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy Hack17 and I welcome you back to this channel, guys. This is going to be the very first video in our series Learning Website Development, where we plan to take you from zero to hero. We're going to be getting you from a step where you don't even understand programming to a step where you start feeling comfortable taking on commercial projects, building websites and getting paid for them. This video is very important and it's going to be covering all the knowledge fundamentals that I think you should know before getting started learning website development or even getting started building websites. For example, you cannot start building websites if you don't even understand how the web works, how the internet works, things like that. So guys, stick around, watch every single video until the very end. Whatever is covered in this video is very important. For those that are not interested in learning website development or even don't want to build websites, this video is still helpful and to help you because, for example, your security and privacy as you're browsing the internet is key, and that's one of the topics that you're going to be covering in this video. So still stick around, you'll benefit a lot from this video. So the hope is by the end of this video you'll be having a clear understanding of what the web is, the building blocks that constitute the internet, things like DNS, website security, and generally you'll have a clear understanding of what happens when you browse the internet. When you put that domain name in Chrome or Firefox, for example, youtube.com, and hit enter, what happens in the back end before you receive that page back on your browser. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. But before, guys, please do me a favor, in case you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit that bell icon, please. It helps us to grow, and also hitting the bell icon will let you notified whenever we upload new content. Do the like, please like and comment. It gets us motivated and gets us going. So without further ado, please, let's get into the video. Hope you enjoy. The web, or the internet, is simply a collection of computers that are networked together across the world to share resources. If you're coming from a networking background, maybe you have some knowledge of networking, you understand that you can connect two computers or three together, and then these computers can share resources. Basically, if there's a file or folder on one of the computers, the other computer, which is connected on the same network, can access that file or folder. Most of us are used to these home networks or enterprise networks at our workplaces. As you can see in this picture, you can have a resource or a folder on this big computer, and a computer like this laptop or another gadget can access that file or folder. In case you don't know how that is done, let me take you to my desktop here and I show you how it is done. I'm not connected to a network right now, but I'll be basically explaining using this very computer, which I'll make a server and a client at the same time. So in case I wanted, have a couple of files here and folders, in case I wanted maybe this learning folder to be shareable and accessible by other computers on the network, I can just come here, right click it, and come to properties. Here, I will go and select sharing, and then I click on share. I have an option, select the kind of people or machines that can access this file or folder. For this tutorial, I'm going to choose everyone, and you can see here permission level. This is my machine called White Hat Academy, and the permission level, I'm the owner. So if I click share, I don't want to accept this, so I will cancel that, and in a few minutes it will be done. So I'm done making this file shareable, and anyone on the network can access it using this URL or this path. So how is that done? The computer that is hosting the shared resource, for example, this folder right here, is what we call the host or the server on a network. Now, the computer that is accessing that shared resource is what we call the client. So I'm going to assume I'm now the client and I want to access a file or folder that has been made accessible by the host. So to make sure that I access the folder that is on the host, and if I'm among those people or the machines that have been given access, all I have to do is hit the Windows button and R. I'll get this pop-up window here. I can delete this And all I have to do is 2 forward slashes. I think that's how they're called. And then I type the name of the machine or the name of the server. Oh, it is White Hat Academy / the file path. I should put the file path of that folder. And then if I hit OK, I'll be able to access that folder. Another way to do this is by using the IP address. The first way that we have seen is using the name of the machine or the server. How do you know the name? Of course, some of you don't know how to tell the name of your machine. All you have to do is come to this PC icon. I'm calling this TV just because of fun, but this is the PC icon. You right click on it, go to properties, and right here under device specifications, you can see your device name. Mine is White Hat Academy. You can always rename this PC and give it a new name in case you want to. I don't want to. I'm comfortable with what I have. That's how you can tell the name of the machine. Another way to access the files that have been shared is by using the IP address. I'll do the same thing. Now right here, instead of using the name, I just type the IP address here. And then type the file path. If I hit OK, I'll be able to access that folder or file. Now, if I go back to my network here, that's what happens in case this laptop wants to access a resource or a folder that has been hosted on this desktop. The same thing happens even on the internet. If, for example, as I told you, these are all pieces that are networked. Think of the internet as a bigger network. So the same functionality that we have seen on a home network apply here. So since these computers are networked across the world, in case computer A, for example, wants to access a resource that has been made shareable on computer B, then it needs to know its IP address. Now, if it doesn't know the IP address, it cannot access it. The purpose of this video is not to teach IP addressing. That will be covered when we start our networking series. So what happens in case PCA wants to access, for example, a user of PCA wants to access google.com. What he will do, you'll first of all go to his computer, and in his, open up his browser and type in the URL of google.com. What is a URL? A URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. And the URL has 5 main parts. There's a scheme. This is basically the protocol. In networking, a protocol defines the rules and regulations that govern communication or sharing of information on a network. So a URL must specify which protocol or scheme that should be used when accessing the pages that are requested, and also the communication between the client and the host. It also has the subdomain, the second level domain, and the top level domain. This here, right from the subdomain to the top level domain, is what you always type in. For example, if you're accessing google.com, sometimes we tend to leave out the scheme because that can be included automatically. So the top level domain can be .com. Sometimes, guess you're working on maybe a non-government organization, we consider putting something like .org, .net, and very many other subdomains out there. .edu. It depends on the purpose or what that website is doing. We have the subdirectory. Now after here, you now start specifying the file path of what you want. In case you want the home page, that home page may be in a directory. So / the directory is a folder, and also now the file name that you want, for example, home.php or home.py, whatever, or home.html sometimes. So that is the URL that you put in. Going back to what I was explaining, PCA, the user of PCA is the client in this case, has to put in this URL, and the URL should has to specify the path. But before specifying the file path, you should first specify the IP address of the host that you're trying to reach. In this case, it's google.com. But remember, on our local host, on our home network, to access, in order for this laptop to access a resource on this desktop, we were using it either the name of the desktop, then we do a /, we put the file path that we want, or the file path of the file that we want to access, or we can use the IP address. Now for the case of internet, we are going to use the IP address, and these are public IP addresses, meaning they are unique for every computer that is connected to the internet. The purpose of this video again is not to handle IP addressing. But what happens if I look back at my URL here, the IP address has to be specified between, actually in this very space where you're seeing these domains, this is where you can put the IP address. But now that brings us to something called the DNS. You're supposed to put in the IP address right here. But now these IP addresses are so hard for we the humans to memorize. That's why we type in these words here. That's also is, for example, blog.hotspot.com. But this is a URL, this is an IP address. But now because we cannot memorize these IP addresses in our head so much easily, we use these domain names. Now, that brings us to the topic of DNS. DNS simply stands for domain name server, or domain name system, sorry to say. So what happens in case PCA wants to get google.com, the homepage from PCB? Remember we said PCA needs to know the IP address of PCB. But now the user of PCA doesn't know, actually didn't memorize the IP address of google.com. So the easiest way is to use a domain. And in our case, google.com is the domain name. But remember, in networking, we don't use domain names to access a resource. We need the IP address. And that's where DNS comes into play. So we have our DNS resolver system right here. Now what happens in our case here is the user of PCA will have to first of all type the domain name in the browser, maybe using Chrome or Firefox, whatever. Now the machine sends a DNS request to the DNS server asking for the domain, for the IP address belonging to the domain name that the user has put into it, which in this case is google.com. Now the server has a database where it maps given domain names to their respective IP addresses. Now when a machine sends a request, a DNS request to the DNS server asking for the IP address belonging to the domain name that it is providing, the DNS server looks through its database, its table, and then finds the right IP address belonging to that domain name, and then we'll have to give back a reply, a DNS reply basically, telling that machine what the IP address requested is. Now, the machine PCA uses this IP address to send a request to Google server using that IP address. The request could be something like, please give me the home page. And now, what Google will do, will now send back a response of what the client has requested, and now the user of PCA is now able to view the home page of Google. Now all this happens so fast that you may never know what is happening. So again, if I'm to take you back to my desktop, I don't know why this keeps popping up. I want to click on my Google Chrome. I want to go and access google.com. If I hit enter, remember what I'll put here is the URL. I just want to access the home page, the index. So I may not even need to specify, just need the index or the home page. I'm not putting the scheme, the HTTPS, but as I told you, sometimes that is automatically included. How do you know that this is HTTPS? By seeing this lock icon here. Now this is my home page of google.com, and I can now search whatever I want right here. I've used the domain name, and now me after typing in this domain name, let me do this once again to explain it better. What I'm putting here, what I'm typing here is the domain name. But again, in networking, we don't use domain names, we use IP addresses to reach the hosts. In this case, I'm the client. The machine that is hosting google.com, I mean the machine that is hosting Google, is the server, and it is somewhere that I even don't know. So when I hit enter, what my machine will first of all do is send a DNS request to the DNS server asking for the IP address that belongs to google.com. And now the DNS system will have to send back the IP address of google.com. My machine now uses that IP address to send a request to that machine using that IP address given to it, asking for the home page. Then google.com server or Google server will have to respond and sends me back the reply, and that's what I'm now viewing right here. Alternatively, in case I wanted to access that using an IP address, instead of typing google.com, I would alternatively type here the IP address of google.com. Now, how do I access this? How do I get to know the IP address of google.com, for example? There are very many ways. So first of all, I want to cancel that. My easiest way is to come here. Just hit the Windows button, Windows key, and R to bring you to this. We want to go to our command prompt. So you can type here CMD, hit enter. The easiest way that I always do this is by pinging google.com, for example, whatever domain name you have. And when you connect it to internet, it will give you the response back. I don't know why it's showing me timeout. Maybe my network is not okay. I'll have to fix that. So let me give it a second. I think it's not working out. Let me try to check my internet connection. It is not going. It's because maybe my internet connection is not okay. So let me try to put this out again. Connect back. Okay, it's now connected. Let me try again. I want to ping google.com. This is a networking command that is used to test connectivity between endpoints. Now, when you receive these replies, it means that you're now able to reach that server or that machine on the network. So ping is a very useful command in networking. We shall be looking at more of these commands when we start on our networking series. But now, after getting this reply, I can now tell that the IP address of this host of google.com server is this right here. And I can copy this by hitting Ctrl+C. In case you don't have the quick editing functionality enabled, you can just come after highlighting whatever you want to copy. For example, if you want to copy this, come and right click in the space up here. Hope you're watching my cursor. Come to edit and copy from here. Now, what next? I want to go to my Chrome here, open it up. Now, right now, instead of typing google.com, I just want to paste my IP address. And if I hit enter, it will now not go to the DNS because I already have the IP address, and there we go. I still access google.com homepage. But this time I didn't put in google.com. I put in the IP address of google.com. So let me close this. Hope you guys have got the point. And that's all for the demo. I hope you guys have understood the point. And if I'm to go back to my network here, to my internet, that's exactly what is happening. Your PC can only access google.com using the IP address, but it needs to first of all resolve it because the user has entered the domain name and it will send a DNS request. DNS server sends the IP address. PC2 now uses that IP address to send a request, requesting for whatever resource it wants, and then Google will send that back to him. And now the user is able to access and view the homepage from google.com. Now, we talked about the HTTP protocol. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, to explain HTTP a little bit more in details, we're going to be covering HTTP. It's basically the protocol. Before I even tell you what HTTP is, HTTP in full is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is the protocol that governs communication, basically the transfer of all those web pages and documents that you're able to view in your browser. Previously, I've just talked about what a protocol is. But now, some other websites also run what we call HTTPS. This is simply the secure version of HTTP. And I'll be demonstrating practically how HTTP is insecure in the next video. So make sure you check that out. So that's all for this video, guys. In case you've got some value out of this video, please like the video, leave a comment in case you have any, and also consider subscribing in case you have not yet subscribed. It's really very important. Hit that bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content. It really helps us to grow as a channel, and whenever you like a video, it helps you to push it to other people. And also whenever you leave a comment, first of all, it gives us motivation to do more content like this for you guys, and also helps us improve the quality of the content that we give you out. So catch you guys in the next video. That's all for now. I wish you all the best.